Broads Media.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Pat Mahomes, again, down big. Doesn't matter. Did anybody believe that the Niners were going to win after they wrongfully took the ball in overtime? What a joke. I mean, Kyle Shanahan just not preparing his team while Andy Reid was pretty much installing from training camp the new rules. And by the way, if we do happen to be in this situation, we're fucking going for two. I love that shit. Are you serious? Winners. Winners at the highest level. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. And I love it. I am obsessed with it. I fiend for greatness. Man, these are the greatest human beings playing football to ever exist. And then you have them being at the top of the greatest to ever exist. It's amazing. It is so unreal. And I'm not one of those people that have to wait for someone to retire to then go back and study exactly everything they did. And that's when it hits me in the face that, oh my God, what a journey. No. I like to do it in the moment. I like to do it in the now. And I was jumping up off the edge of my seat when Patty was using his legs, wide open field. We were on the other end of that. It got ripped out of our chest just like it did to San Francisco in a very similar way, even to the T of that final touchdown pass by Hardman, who was on the Jets when the season began, and then he goes and wins a Super Bowl with Kansas City. What a story. What a crazy season for this Chiefs team. They never looked right, and then they were questioned because they had to go on the road. They beat a Buffalo Bills team. They beat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, and then they go smack around San Fran. And look, I'm not going to rip Brock Purdy and say, wow, what a disgrace he is. That game that he played could have won a Super Bowl on any given day. Just like I thought Jalen Hurts, when you just look at the two games that was played last season in the Bowl, I thought Jalen Hurts outplayed Pat Mahomes. Now, everyone will go back and say, yeah, but that fumble. And that fumble was killer. But ultimately, the eye test screamed Jalen Hurts was sensational last year, but Pat Mahomes found a way. I don't think Brock Purdy was sensational by any means, but he didn't play bad. Yeah, Spags started to dial up some pressure, and then he applied it to Brock Purdy, and things got a little bit uncomfortable. But he didn't play some awful game where my takeaway is Brock Purdy sucks. That'll be the lazy narrative. I just can't stand it because now we are in this position where he's just a system quarterback. Yeah, so is 98% of this league. You know who's not a system quarterback? Aaron Rodgers. You know who has one Super Bowl in that Hall of Fame career? Aaron Rodgers. Outside of Peyton Manning. I don't know why I started that sentence off with outside of. It wasn't really going anywhere. But Peyton Manning did end up getting the second, right? That second wasn't because of Peyton Manning. It was all the defense. That defense was gross. So you remove that Super Bowl, which I hate making that argument and that discussion point, but I just did. And Peyton Manning, one of the best ever. Not system quarterback. The game has changed so much from then to now anyway, so all of this just sucks, and I'm horrible at my job. But regardless, my point is, all of these quarterbacks are system quarterbacks because it's a new era of football. I'm not going to ridicule the quarterback of San Fran. I mean, I can definitely look at Kyle Shanahan and say you just didn't have your team as prepared as they needed to be to the nth degree. This is a Super Bowl. You cannot have any doubt at all that you left some scraps on the table when trying to dissect every single possibility, and he sure let his team down, and that should live with him for a while. Gut-wrenching loss for the Niners. Couldn't have happened to a worse fan base. I mean, just the scummiest human beings to ever walk planet Earth is San Fran, and they deserve the heartbreak, no doubt. Now, do I love what Fletcher Cox did on Instagram? I don't know if this is the hot take or not because I saw obviously a lot of people in this town really loving it. If you missed it, Fletcher Cox on Instagram was taking pictures of Debo crying, saying, eat a dick. I have something you don't have, the Super Bowl. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I would never do that. And it really is similar to what the Niners were doing to us forever. And we called them crybabies. We called them losers. All you do is think about us. And 5 seconds after you lose one of the most heartbreaking games of your career, you have an outsider just throwing jabs at you. Yo, Fletch, I know you have one, but you also have a loss, and you know what that feeling is like. It is brutal. It's just horrible. And now, look, if there's some real, legitimate, insane personal beef where Fletch feels disrespected in a way that he feels obligated, maybe there's some things that are a little deeper from just the surface level of me looking on Instagram. But I don't like that card. It reminds me of the card the Niners played that we despised so much. And now when our team does it, we love it and we start screaming that this is fantastic. I don't know. It's just not for me. And I haven't really seen that much of that take. But maybe there's a lot of you out there who's just not throwing it around on social. But anyway, special teams. Man, did special teams play a large role in this one. From the Chiefs taking a 13-10 lead because of a punt, it hits the cleat of the Niners. You got to jump on the ball. Chiefs get it. The blocked extra point. It changes the entire landscape. When the Chiefs have the football going downfield, they end up kicking a field goal. The fact that it wasn't a 4-point game is insane. So special teams crushed them. But Brock Purdy, going back to his play, after that horrible punt scenario, the Chiefs get a touchdown when there wasn't a lot of life involved for Kansas City at that time. Brock Purdy goes down the field. They go for it on 4th and 3 or so. Nice pass to the outside part of the field, right side of the field. Get out of bounds, stretch out, get the first down. That was a spectacular play. You put your balls on the line. Shanahan showed a little bit of aggressiveness there, which I would be shocked if he did that, and I was shocked, and I thought, he might lay it up and just take the points and see if they could tie the game and play from there. But no, they kept their foot on the gas, and I liked that decision at the time, and Brock Purdy stepped up big there. There were some moments for Purdy. I really don't just want to kill him because he didn't win the Super Bowl. I'm not really putting the blame on him, but man, Kyle Shanahan let his team down. Because there's no way with the new overtime rules that you don't get the ball second. You lose a down. You're actively driving downfield, losing a down. When you know what you have to get, then you go for it on 4th if the other team has a touchdown. Now, you get a full-on extra down. And for his theory to be, well, what happens if we both score touchdowns and then we have the third possession? Then it's win or go home. You're overthinking. You're doing way too much. You're complicating. And quite frankly, I think that was a huge lie on the fly. I think he just realized that made a little sense to him, so he can run with that with the media. But deep down, he was lost and wasn't really sure. You had guys on the team who said they didn't even realize there were new rules until they looked up at the screen and it was flashing to them while they were on the sidelines looking up. So if the team doesn't know and the players who are lacing up the cleats are unprepared, I'd imagine that means maybe the coach was a little lost too. So that's probably something that was whispered to his ear by the PR team to try and save face, because how much worse of a look would it be if he shrugged his shoulders to the media and said, I had no idea. I just kind of told them, let's take the ball so we can go try and score. We need a touchdown anyway to beat Pat Mahomes. Well, you lost the down. You lost the down. You lost the down. I cannot believe it. Although I can, because it's not the first time Kyle Shanahan has made some mistakes on the biggest stage. The game started out a little miserable in my eyes. Boring. 1st and 10 became 2nd and 13. It was a grind. I'd be lying, though, if I said I didn't find any sort of interesting angles, though, because it was one of those grind games. It was ugly. It was murky. The stage is big. I don't know if the nerves were there, and then they eventually started to all settle into the game. So then the game had some more identity to it towards the end. I don't know if it just took a while because I couldn't imagine playing that game. I always say this, whether it's the NCAA National Championship in college basketball, whether it's the college football playoffs, whenever the stage is this massive, it doesn't even feel like I'm watching a football game anymore. It takes away from the actual game. Now, I wonder if you're a player, though, do you just step onto the field and then it becomes normal? Because I know, playing hockey my entire life, no matter what stage it was, whether I was playing nationals my U18 year, whether it was college hockey, whether it was junior hockey, the moment you step on the ice, the outside noise sort of goes away. Now, I never played on a stage that was as big as that, so maybe it does overpower, and that's why when you've been there so many times and the week leading up and all the media attention, you know how to take those emotions, put it away, and just focus on the reality of the football game. And that's the difference of teams that get there year in, year out compared to the one squad that sneaks their head in and then it's like, well, but sometimes maybe that ends up working out where, it's just like you're in the moment, you just live it up. And I don't know, it's almost, I compare it to Tyrese Maxey, for example. The first couple of years of Tyrese Maxey, he's so naive to what he's doing because he's just a kid going out there, balling, doing his thing, dropping 30-plus, and I'm sure he understands, I'm in the NBA and I'm definitely waxing some ass, but still, you're so naive to really what you're doing because you're just being Maxey. If you're a once-in-a-blue-moon team that flirts in there, you're just in the middle of the emotional grind, and you're just being you, so you don't really do anything, overthink anything because you're living in the moment. Does that make sense, or am I just rambling out my ass? I think it's a combination of both, to be clear. I think I'm rambling, but I'm speaking truth, too. That's the beauty of what you get around here. That's why it's probably one of the best shows to ever exist, if you're asking me. By the way, I would love if all of you who are tuning into this show and listening to my dumb ass, I want to try and hit 200 likes over on Apple Podcasts. The podcasting numbers have really been rising over the last year or so. Obviously, the main focus is YouTube most of the time, but we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, and we're getting up there in ratings and reviews on Apple Pod. So if you type Sports Talk with Broads or Broads Media, it'll pop up. If you leave a 5-star rating and a review, that would go a long way. I love you guys to death. You know that, and I truly do appreciate it. But that game, the stage, it gets so big that are we even watching a football game anymore? There's so much stress on every single play, and that's why it's even more amazing that Pat Mahomes is able to do this every single season. Down 10, doesn't matter. These comebacks, he's already in rare air, okay? It's not as if it's the norm. Tom Brady did the 28-3 thing, and that's magnificent, but it's almost every season they dig themselves into a hole, and then they pull themselves out of it because everyone has belief that when 15 gets the ball in his hands, it's going to work. We are going to score. And Travis Kelce's bumping Andy Reid, screaming in his face because there's a fumble. Why isn't he on the field? Why isn't he getting production? He's got 1 reception, 1 target for 1 yard in the first half, and then obviously he'll explode in the second half, but he's bumping Andy Reid? Dude. There looked to be a little bit of a flop by Reader. What the hell? A little flop, a little starstruck, if you will. I don't know. He's like, damn, is that Taylor Swift's boyfriend? I don't know what's happening right here, But apparently, that man, pregame speech, motivated his team, the fire, the energy, the rawness of it. Do you know how many pregame speeches the Kansas City Chiefs locker room has heard? Whether it was with the Chiefs themselves or when they were playing college football, listening to Saban, listening to whoever it is their respected head coach was in NCAA, billions. For them to speak as loudly as they did about how motivating, how captivating that speech was, it's no surprise because we see Jason Kelce do something similarly, and he get the tears going. He's a very emotional dude, but they are just nonstop obsessed with pretty much explaining that, no, this was different. The things I do to be a fly on the wall to hear what Travis Kelce had to say to his team. Nobody could even impersonate it. Well, what was it like? I can't even pretend to try and do it for you because I can't replicate it. It ain't being duplicated, but just know that that's special stuff. And I try and put myself in their headspace. If you can't tell, that's sort of what I do when watching these big games because I'm enamored by how the greatest athletes in the world are wired. And I couldn't imagine if I wasn't on the field and my team fumbled, going up the big red with my face being red and spit flying out of my mouth and screaming at Andy fucking Reid. Andy Reid? You're going to get in the face of fucking Andy Reid? Now that shows you the greatness of Kelce, that fire, that competitive juice. And a lot of guys do have it. I know A.J. Brown said on Twitter if that was him, he'd be getting kicked out of the league and blah, 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 blah. And, look, there's definitely a different view on things when the diva wide receiver starts out. We saw the same thing with Diggs in Buffalo, him and Josh Allen. For some reason, depending on who it is, people like Travis Kelce. At the same time, though, they win. And if A.J. Brown had 3 Super Bowls in his back pocket and goes, yeah, dude, what do you want me to say? This is why I'm great. I love that stuff. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm trying to figure out how the hell you are even wired that way. Because you know what I'd do? I'd stand there with my helmet on, and I'd be waiting to get the nod. That's all. I'd be waiting for the coach to go, yo, 87, you're it. And I start jogging, and that's it. I probably wouldn't say a damn word. I know for damn sure I wouldn't be bumping Andy Reid in front of my teammates, in front of the whole entire world watching. But these cats don't lose. They don't lose. And I love every second of it. How can you not? These are the greatest athletes to play. And they're better than everybody else by far. Look at the path they took this year. Look at the wide receivers. All season long, they're not the same, they're not the same, they're not the same. Super Bowl. Down a bunch of points, Super Bowl win. And the way that this one played out, the satisfaction of doing it that way. Pat Mahomes laying down on the ground. The picture of him celebrating in awe. But not in awe because they knew they were going to win because they don't lose. Back-to-back Super Bowls. You know what's crazy? Now, I was watching at a buddy of mine. It was a phenomenal night. And when I was driving home, I put on WIP, and I was listening to sort of the post-game stuff and some of the interviews and all. So, Travis Kelce mentions they get a chance to win a third. Pat Mahomes mentions they get a chance to win a third, as in 3 in a row. They already have their third trophy now, but 3 in a row. They just won the Super Bowl. Once again, the way they are wired, I want another. We can go win another. They just won the Super Bowl 4 seconds ago. 3 seconds ago, they just won a Super Bowl. Already thinking about the next. It's nuts. It's nuts. So was the Greenlaw injury. In what world? In what world did that really happen to him? I feel so bad. Would it have happened, though, in the game? Was something with his Achilles not right? Where if it wasn't him trying to run on the field just for a standard run on the field to get ready to go play, it would have happened on the field trying to make a play. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how all that works, but it makes sense to me that that thing was probably going to go anyway, which just sucks. It sucks. You never want to see anybody get injured, let alone it's the biggest stage. It's the Super Bowl. You're jumping up and down because you're hype, and then you get ready to run onto the field and something like that happens. It sucks. This was a weird one early, though. I even thought when the When the 49ers scored one of their early touchdowns, they tried the trick play. They're throwing it behind, and they're throwing it all the way across the other side of the field. Probably should not have resulted in a touchdown at all. Maybe the Chiefs could have jumped the route and picked it off. It would have been a pick six, no doubt. But I don't know how that resulted in a touchdown. There were some times where I thought San Fran had it going, and they were doing enough. How about following Trent Williams with Christian McCaffrey? Sometimes you were banging your head against the wall because you realized that Christian McCaffrey needed more touches, and it would have helped to just lean on your bread and butter. But then, towards the end of that game, it didn't look like the Chiefs could get a stop, and it was Christian McCaffrey, 5 yards, following that left side. Christian McCaffrey, 4 yards, following that left side. They were working it down, and they were getting down towards close to the end zone, and then they were punching threes instead of sevens. And, yeah, for sure, against Pat Mahomes, that's not going to be enough. But think about that pressure. Think about that way of thinking where you just know, when the 49ers kicked a field goal to go up 3, the Chiefs were winning the football game. The Chiefs were winning the football game. There wasn't any discussion. The Chiefs were winning the football game. I miss that. I forget what real football is like. And that was almost a bit of a reminder. Look, speaking of reminders, I'll remind you about my friends over at HelloFresh because they're the greatest in the world. HelloFresh right now is giving you free breakfast for life. You heard that correctly. Free breakfast for life with HelloFresh. Now, don't let recipe boredom strike because HelloFresh has more options than ever before. Dig into their biggest menu yet with over 45 dinner options to choose from weekly and even more market add-on items that suit any lifestyle. HelloFresh, by the way, is pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes that get delivered right to your doorstep. So you can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Dude. Oh, shrimp and mushroom risotto, flatbread pizzas, tacos, all sorts of stuff, man. It is the greatest in the world. My wife and I have pretty much been doing this for a while now, and it has been so great. It's way more affordable, too. It's 25% less expensive than getting takeout, than just your traditional cooking and shopping when you go food shop. This is ridiculous. So the way it works is there's pre-portioned food. Pre-portioned. You can't screw up the recipe because everything you need, you don't have to measure anything out. Oh, I put too much water and put too much this in. It's already pre-portioned. Just follow the 8 step-by-step recipes, the recipe cards, and bada bing, bada boom, you're a top-tier chef. It's outrageous. So go to HelloFresh.com/BrodesFree and use code BrodesFree for free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while a subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/BrodesFree with code BrodesFree. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Let's get to Usher before we get to the Anytime Hotline text message board. Fucking awesome. I thought the halftime show was awesome. Lil Jon, Luda, dude, Usher's around there with the rollerblades, the whole shebang. And he was playing hit after hit after hit after hit. Dude, I thought that thing was killer. I mean, I really thought Usher put on one hell of a performance, and there was a lot of knock on that. No, Usher? Really? Just Usher? Someone else has to do something, right? Alicia Keys pops in there. She's doing her thing. I thought he killed it. I loved every second of it. Now, maybe they targeted me the way they wanted to target me. That's it right there, right? I mean, I'm not a diehard Usher fan, but that brings back memories. I remember, my boo, remember when we were younger, you were mine, my boo. I sound just like him. But you know what I'm saying? I remember being 9, heartbroken, playing Roller Coaster Tycoon underneath of my bunk bed where I had the top and I didn't have the bottom. I slid my little old school desktop computer down there. You know what I'm saying? I remember, right? Oh, dude, let it burn, let it burn. Here I am, young bro, just heartbroken because of my fake girlfriend in elementary school, just crying my eyes out. You know what I'm saying? Did that actually happen? No, not really. But, tough times out there in the streets at 9 years old. Great show. Great show. That's the moral of the story. Hey, sometimes we get a little crazy over here. All right, let's get to some anytime hotline text messages about the game. I feel bad. We haven't really read the text board in a while. It's been a lot of phone calls, so I figured today's a good day for it. Is it now time to get annoyed with the Chiefs, bros? I can't stand it. Why, when the same team win all the time, you fall in love? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're the fucking greatest. The greatest! I love greatness. I love greatness. It doesn't have much to do, because I heard this take as well. Is it because it means more that the Eagles won? Because once in a blue moon, a team like the Eagles do it or whatever, and then, you get that random team flirt. If the Falcons were to win, even though they had one of the most historic collapses in Super Bowl history, but if they were able to win that one, they're not there again, even though the Eagles do have more sustained what? Sustained success than the Falcons do, and they are more willing to have Super Bowl appearances than the Falcons do, but it's not because of that it means more that the Eagles won. It might show you how difficult it truly is to win, and that's why it's amazing that the Chiefs do it year in and year out. It's so damn hard. It's so hard, and all they do is win. So I tweeted this out as soon as the game ended. Pat Mahomes never loses. Appreciate greatness while it's in front of you. Here's some of the replies. Bleep the Niners. Nice job to kick the field goal with Mahomes on the other side, Shanahan. I mean, he literally did lose a Super Bowl before, though. The man is unbelievable, but let's not go that far. What do you mean, let's not go that far? What do you mean? I said appreciate greatness while it's in front of you. Let's not go that far. Who is better? Who is better than Pat Mahomes? You want to say Tom Brady? Okay. I mean, he's more established because his career was longer. Pat Mahomes, 28 years old. He's already got 3. He's been in 4 Super Bowls. He's there all the time. AFC Championship games, they sleepwalk in the AFC Championship games, even when you think it's not their season. What are we talking about here? I mean, I don't understand it. Tippett says, Owen Tippett. Hey, no, it's just someone sort of having fun with Owen Tippett. Greatness is starting to bore me. Nope. And it's an easier year to root for the Chiefs for many because of the Niners being on the other side. I am actively rooting for the Chiefs when the Eagles are not involved. My happiness today is more because of the Chiefs than it is the Niners losing. It's a nice sweetener. It's a nice added bonus because they are fraudulent and they're horrible human beings who think that we are a problem, yet they don't realize that they have taken over scumbags of the earth. There's no one worse than 49ers fans, ever. I mean, this little new era of whatever you want to call this mess and slop of Niners scum, they're just the bottom feeders of life. It's just gross. So that's a nice added bonus to it. But I don't care if they were playing the Lions. I would have rooted for Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. I would not have won the Dan Campbell Lions, even though it's a cute little story. I don't like cute little stories. I like dominance, and that's it. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain. I love dominance. Bro, did this change the way that you view the Eagles Super Bowl? No, not really. The Eagles were in control, and they let it slip. And when you give other teams opportunities, like Pat Mahomes, they make up for it, and they really make you pay, and they hurt you. But does it change anything? In what regard? That Pat Mahomes is so special that I'm not allowed to be angry that the defense couldn't get a damn stop at the end? Couldn't stop him? No. And that's because I watch through the Eagles' lenses. So I'm going to really focus on, well, what did the Eagles do wrong? When you have a double-digit lead, as great as greatness is, you're still doing something wrong. And I probably won't pick it apart with the Niners as much as I did the Eagles. But when I self-reflect on what the Eagles did that didn't win a Super Bowl, I still think they had a chance. Because as great as the Niners were this year, I think the Eagles last year were better than the Niners are this year. I thought the Eagles were closer, even though the Chiefs last year were better than this year's Chiefs. I thought that was a closer matchup, and they should have won that game. The Eagles should have won that game. No, I don't think of it any differently. Did the Eagles screw up getting rid of Andy Reid? Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did. Someone brought up an interesting call on the radio that as electric as Andy Reid's tenure was here, and this is probably opening up a door for a bigger conversation, the last few years, dating back to 2017, even back to some of the Chip Kelly stuff, I guess, I think he even did factor in some Chip Kelly stuff, that run had more success than Andy Reid's run, who had the sustained level of NFC Championship games, and, of course, the Super Bowl loss. And the high was obviously higher because you did win the ultimate prize with Doug Peterson, but the lows, without knowing what the results were, the highs, yes, were higher with Doug Peterson, but the lows show signs of dysfunction. With Andy Reid, you were never getting signs of dysfunction. You might have disliked the way he didn't get a lot of receiver help for Donovan McNabb until, of course, T.O., and then, wow, what do you know? The entire offense changed, and you have a magician who can catch the football, and then, of course, he could do workouts on his driveway and then create a lot of drama. Andy Reid wasn't perfect. His time management was way worse then, and it still shows signs here and there and all. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing to kind of throw around from like a barroom combo thing. And is Pat Mahomes better than Tom Brady? It blows my mind that we are living in a world where Tom Brady is already almost being beaten, because you don't see it like this. I never would have thought in a million years that we'd get someone who can even come close, let alone while Tom Brady's still playing, that guy's starting to work through the accolades and starting to get closer when Tom Brady was still taking the field. It's a pretty remarkable story. Skill set-wise, I don't even think it's a debate, right? Just winning, attitude, edge. Tom is there until Pat gets the Super Bowls. I think Pat will get the Super Bowls, though. So right now, it's just time. But skill level-wise, we've never seen Pat Mahomes. Tom's still phenomenal, though. Just a tall, lanky dude, sits in the pocket, will crush it to death. 6 yards to Edelman, 7 yards to Edelman. Gronk wide open, bang, big explosive play. 25 yards to Gronk. Hernandez. Yeah, it's insane. But is Pat Mahomes, he will be. Just let him get the shelf filled up more with trophies. That's all we're waiting for, is just time at this point. All right, everybody, those are my thoughts on this Super Bowl. I hope you guys appreciated it. Appreciated Pat Mahomes, but I appreciate all of you for spending time with me. Thanks so much, and we will be talking soon.